In today's video, we are going to go through 2015's mystery thriller, The Invitation, where a man accepts an invitation to his ex-wife's dinner party when an unsettling affair reopens old traumas and creates new tensions. Lots of spoilers ahead, you have been warned. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to our channel if you enjoy it. Will and Kira are a happy couple in their 30s. At the beginning of the movie, the couple is driving to Will's ex-wife Eden's house. Eden is hosting a dinner party with her now husband David. On their way there, they talk about how fancy the invitation card they received is. Eden and David have been out of touch with everyone for 2 years. Will is still surprised to have received the invitation. As the couple is talking in the car, they crash into a coyote. Will gets out to see the animal bloodied but still alive. He kills it with a tire iron and hides the body. They finally reach the house. Kira is surprised to see the luxurious home Will used to live in. She asks him about it, to which Will says that it has always belonged to Eden. They go inside to see a bunch of their friends seated in the living area. There is Tommy, alongside his boyfriend Miguel, Ben, Claire, and Gina. Gina's boyfriend Choi is running late. As they greet each other, Eden comes down from upstairs. She hugs Will and removes a drop of the coyote's blood off his face with her spit. David is in the room too. They greet Kira and offer the guests drinks. David offers them an exclusive wine that costs $8 million a bottle. Will kindly declines, but the rest of them drink it. David announces that everyone present there is very special to Eden and so to him. Hence, they wanted them to be there when the house reopens. During the speech, Will notices a strange woman down the hallway staring at him. Right after the toast, she comes to the living room. The couple introduces her as Sadie. Sadie is a girl they met in Mexico. They brought her here to help them with the house. She tells Will that the couple talks a lot about him. As Kira tells the group about their encounter with a coyote, Will goes to look around the house. He goes to the kitchen to drink some water when he has a flashback of Eden trying to kill herself. Just then, she arrives and startles him. He drops the glass in shock. Eden then asks him to help her get the drinks. As they do that, they talk about her trip to Mexico. Will asks her if it is hard to be in the house again, but Eden says she is free and the happiest she has ever been. Ben comes in too. According to Eden, pain is optional. She has overcome those emotions and wants Will to do so too. Ben, on the other hand, jokes about the topic. Suddenly, Eden slaps him. Will is stunned to see this side of Eden. Eden leaves and Will and Ben discuss her weird behavior. Afterwards, Eden apologizes to Ben. There is a knock on the door. The group assumes it's Choi, but David goes out to receive an unknown man. He introduces himself as Pruitt. Sadie is happy to see him. David tells the group that Pruitt is someone they met in Mexico as well. The rest of the group introduce themselves to him. Gina is worried because Choi is still not there. She tries to call him, but the house has no reception. Will notices David locking the main entrance. He gets suspicious and asks him to keep the keys in. David and Eden make up a story about a previous home invasion but leave the keys in anyway. David reminds Will that it is his house and that he can do anything he wants with it. The group settles down when Eden asks Will to bring out some more firewood. Eden thanks Kira for being with Will in difficult times. Outside, Will looks at the backyard and remembers his son Ty. Eden and Will had a 4-year-old son named Ty. He died while playing in that very backyard. Will notices Eden in her room where she puts something in her drawer. Curious, Eden goes into the room to find that it is an unlabeled bottle of medicine. He takes one of the tablets out and hides it in his pocket. On his way back, he again reminisces about his old days with Eden and Ty. Back in the living area, Sadie tells everyone that they are part of a cult-like group in Mexico. This intrigues the group, so they ask more questions about it. Tommy jokingly asks them if they get naked as a ritual, and Sadie answers yes. David brings out his laptop to show the guests a video of their ritual. In the video, there is a very sick woman lying on the bed. The person talking to her asks her how she feels, to which she replies, loved. She says that she is going to see her husband and her father. The others in the room claim that they can feel her spirit. Finally, the woman dies and the video ends. The guests are surprised and disturbed. According to Will, this is not something people show at dinner parties. David explains that they are taking away the wrong message from the video. Pruitt further adds that the video isn't about her death, but about her communion. David again tells him that the program helped him recover from his drug addiction and grief. Eden says the same. The fact that Eden has forgotten all about Ty angers Will, so he lashes out at her. Miguel calms him down and takes him to the other room. Will shows him the pill he took from the drawer earlier. Miguel tells him that it might be phenobarbital, which is a common tablet. Tommy calls him out to join the rest of the group. David offers them a glass of wine before going upstairs. Will tells Miguel and Tommy his concerns about the night being weird, but the couple dismisses it. From the railing, David apologizes to everyone if the video had made them feel uncomfortable. He suggests they play a game they used to play in Mexico. It's called I Want. They take turns and tell everyone what they want. Sadie goes first. She tells everyone that she loves them, even though they met only a few hours ago. She kisses Gina after. Everyone cheers for them. Gina goes next. She remembers David talking about being addicted to drugs once and jokingly asks for his stash of drugs, but David hands it to her. Next is Pruitt. He begins to tell them the story about his wife's death and how he accidentally killed her. Everyone is shocked to hear this. They do not feel comfortable playing the game further, but Eden insists on going next. She wants to kiss Ben. Everyone watches them as they make out. Ben tells them to hide this from his wife. Claire, on the other hand, gets extremely uncomfortable and wants to leave. David tries to convince her to stay, but Will tells him to back off. Claire then leaves. The hosts go outside to see her off, along with Pruitt, who moves his car to let her leave. Will watches them through the glass window and sees Pruitt going out to stop Claire's car. David takes Will to a room to talk privately. He confronts Will about his behavior. He claims Will is suspicious of their hospitality. Will apologizes and tells him that he wasn't prepared to be in the house yet. Pruitt comes inside and tells him that he apologized to Claire if his story scared her. The group then goes upstairs for dinner. As they are chatting and enjoying the food, Will gets hypersensitive to his environment. He cannot get the memories of his son out of his mind. He calls out for Kira, but she doesn't listen. Suddenly, all of it stops. After dinner, Will goes down the hallway to the restroom, where he sees Sadie making faces in the mirror. She notices him watching and stops. He then goes by the pool where he is joined by Sadie again. She talks to him for a while before suddenly asking him to have sex with her. Will refuses and asks her to go inside, but Sadie keeps on trying to persuade him. She finally leaves him alone. After that, he moves to the house's balcony and stands there enjoying the scenery. Tommy joins him there. Will tells him again that something is awfully wrong with this situation. Tommy dismisses his concerns, telling him that they are all trying to figure out how to act after being out of touch for 2 years. He tells Will he has to stop thinking too much about it. Lastly, he hugs him and goes inside. Will is about to join him when his phone suddenly gets a signal. He gets a voice message from Troy. In the message, Troy tells him that he is at Eden's but has forgotten to bring the dessert. He asks Will to get one on his way there. This freaks Will out. He realizes that Troy was here earlier, but Eden and David must have done something to him. He goes back to the dining table and suddenly the lights go out. David and Eden arrive with a cake. It is for Miguel because his birthday is in a week. He blows the candles out and the lights come back. Just then, Will loses his cool and asks Eden where Troy is. He tells them about the voice memo and how he was here earlier than everyone else. The group tries to calm him down. David and Eden claim that Troy was never at the house. Will bangs on the table and calls their group a cult. Kira tells everyone that she and Will are leaving, but Will refuses to leave until they tell the truth. The dinner is getting chaotic when someone rings the doorbell. David goes down to see that Troy is finally here. He was right in front of the house earlier when his work called him because of an emergency. Seeing him arrive, Will finally calms down. Everyone is quiet. Will cries and apologizes to everyone. David and Eden forgive him and tell him that he is part of their family. Will then excuses himself and goes to the restroom to calm down. As he washes his face, it reminds him of Ty again. He goes back to the balcony and sits alone. Kira joins him and talks to him about Ty. Will has not been able to get over his son's death. He tells Kira that she cannot help him in this case. He goes back to everyone else and asks to see Ty's room again. He goes in there to see Ty's toys scattered all around. Will imagines Ty sleeping in his bed and lays down next to him. After some time, he sits down in a corner and cries in the memory of his child. From there, he sees David out in the backyard. He lights a red lantern. Will goes spying around the house again and this time finds David's laptop. There is a video of a person saying that tonight is the night their faith comes to life. The message is very vague, but Will now knows for sure that something is extremely wrong. Pruitt comes to get him, and both of them go back to the dining table for the last glass of wine. David makes a toast. Gina has a sip of her drink, but before anyone else can, Will throws his glass and stops everyone from drinking. Sadie accuses Will of ruining everything and attacks him. Will pushes her off him. She bangs her head on a piece of furniture and passes out. Everyone runs to help Sadie while Will is still in shock. Then all of a sudden, Gina passes out at the dining table and dies. They cannot call 911 because the house has no signal and all of the doors are locked too. All of a sudden, David comes out with a gun and shoots Miguel. The rest of them are shocked. Pruitt takes the gun from David while the others run downstairs. Tommy attacks David for killing his boyfriend, but Sadie attacks him with a knife instead. Ben, Kira, and Will run downstairs. Ben separates from the duo. At the same time, Sadie attacks Will. He somehow manages to lock himself and Kira in a room. From there, they see Pruitt and David kill Ben in the backyard. Since all of the doors are locked, the couple has no idea how to get out of the situation. Will remembers a door upstairs through which they can sneak out. They slowly go up and hear David and Eden talking. Eden cries and tells David that this wasn't supposed to happen. Eden, David, Sadie, and Pruitt are part of a cult that organized a mass human sacrifice. The last glass of wine was poisoned to kill everyone. As David is reassuring her, Will and Kira go to the room to see that the door has been removed when the house was renovated. At the same time, Pruitt comes in and attacks them. He chokes Will, but Kira hits him on the head with a wine bottle. As he falls, she hits him several times, eventually killing him. They rush out again and see Eden in the dining room. She is pointing a gun at them. She shoots Will in his shoulder before any of them can speak. She looks at injured Will and apologizes before shooting herself in the stomach. David calls Eden from downstairs. He doesn't know that Tommy is hiding on top of the stairs. As David moves up with a knife, Tommy attacks him. He overpowers David and stabs him several times to eventually kill him. Finally, Will and Kira bring an injured Eden out to the backyard and say goodbye to her. The house is then surrounded by police helicopters. The movie ends as Will notices several red lanterns, like the ones David had lit, in every house down the hill. It is as though everyone in the neighborhood was a part of the cult and was involved in the plan to sacrifice them that night. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like the video if you enjoyed it and subscribe to our channel to see more of these movie summaries.